And if you look in here, ooh, tomorrow we're going to have some of our authors against the grain, finding belonging in a world of resistance. My dear sister Susanna Dawn is actually the one who initiated this project because we go back and forth. I was at Rebel. She's going to be doing that in February. I have two coming up for that anthology. March actually is for the next anthology. And that one is Amy. Oh my God, it's scattered pages everywhere. It's Amy story that you want. So if you want to talk about your dog, you want to talk about your modeling career, you want to talk about your bad habits of gambling and how you got out of it, or you want to talk about the learned experience during your the non-laundry day because you have ADHD, you put the laundry and you forgot because you were doing something else, and then that something else you forgot and you're like, where's my coffee? And that was like hours ago, which I do. That's why I can talk about it. Yeah, you can write about it in March. But that is so amazing. So today at Mike Asher Brenner Hounds of Business Community, we're going to have some of those authors at 4 p.m. PST, 7 p.m. EST. So join us there while we celebrate. And then tomorrow we celebrate on TV, Roku channel, Amazon Fire. That's where we're going. LG, Samsung, we're extending it. My TV network, I think they have about 3.5 million active users and downloads for our TV show monthly. So that's really amazing. So that's what we're going to be doing, celebrating, right? And that celebration will be moving towards everybody who's in it. And today your story is not heard, but tomorrow it will be if you join our authors club. Now, this one is a special. So if you have a master's degree in any discipline or a PhD or a DBA, I would love to have you part of my publishing journey. Whether it's just going to be me or Susanna, I'm still doing it because I've already talked to the publisher. Okay. But I would love to have people in it because if you are thinking maybe when you get older, retirement age, you want to actually write or you want to teach. It's very competitive out there for the teaching people. You have to have some type of journals, some type of writing somewhere that you are known to extend your academics, right? And it basically sets you apart. It's very competitive. If you don't think it is, it's very competitive. You need a writing something. And this is your chance to be part of the Calling All My Academicians, right? And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a summit for our presenter. It's going to probably be a 3-day summit. I've done this already as a dean of business and accounting and cyber at the different university that I work for. I've done this already one time. So that's why I know how the process work. But the summit is going to be for everyone to come who's very academics in terms of that. Here's the thing. What's my topic, CJ? You got to scan me because it has all the stuff in there to tell you the details. It's also on levelupwithdoc.com. You just click on authors club. It has all the details that you need, right? What are some of the topics that you want to research? This is a research based type of writing. And you're probably saying, CJ, I've never done that. That's why all the things that comes with it is going to be 3 workshops. I'm going to teach you how to do APA 7th. I am going to teach you how to create your own research. I'm going to create a structure for you so you can follow, and I'm going to help you where to find research so you will know how research writing works in a short amount of time. I teach teachers and I teach trainers when it comes to research. I teach doctoral program for research methodology as well in any discipline, healthcare, business, you name it. So that's why I'm doing this for everybody. I was just going to do it by myself, but I thought, why not do it with the group? I did it last time with, I believe, 10 PhDs, and I want to do it this time and put a master's in there. I think it would be interesting. And my publisher, I'm not the publisher. It's an academic publishing. That means it has to be at a higher level. And get this, they will do the marketing for us. And get this, we can do the marketing for us. It goes to Amazon too, but on top of that, it goes to 61 different countries. Guys, including China. What? I was looking at that list. I was like, huh? because Chinese and Japanese will not just enter your books. They are very particular. They will filter the heck out of any books that goes into there. That's why it has to be research based, right? And I picked 7 or 8 different topics that you can in any industry on those 8 different topics. If we all are going to do business, it's fine. I can structure the conversation. It's not a big deal. I'm pretty savvy on what to do with this research base, but it goes to universities that I've never even heard of. And I'm pretty good at pronouncing, and I can't even pronounce it. I'm like, that is so exciting. But they do it, the academic publishing do it. But here's the thing, the only thing you pay for is the editing, which I will also do edit. They also have their own editor, but I negotiated the price to literally nothing to do this. And I'm giving you my time to teach you how to write in academics. And if you have written in academics, how to write in academics for manuscript specifically. So I will do the structuring and everything for us. But this is only a once every 2 years. So you're like, oh, I'll do it next time. Maybe. Maybe I won't do it next time. I don't know. But this time I want to do it every 2 years because it's a heavy load on writing and academic publishing for a lot of people. So that's why I want to do that. Okay. But look at this lady. Ah, my sister. I'll see you soon, sis, for sure. Now, let's go to this Elanvital. I think I'm saying it right. I think. Michelle will tell me if I said it wrong. Empowering women 45 plus to thrive beyond self sabotage. Isn't that right? When we move to spaces, we're like, yes, we're leveling up, we're elevating. Our other self says, no, you're not good enough, CJ. I move one space down. Oh, not only you're not good enough, the friends that you even have don't even like you. Move space down. So my 2 spaces up is now at 0 level. Don't stop there. Oh, whatever you're doing is actually not the right place or not the right business. So my 2 spaces is now -3. We're so good at it. If we're anything else but, is we're so good at sabotaging our own what? Milestones, our own move, like move the needle a little bit, right? And the reason we do that, it's because of our environment. It's because of the people that we surround ourselves with. It's to how we grow up. There's so many reasons. There is no one reason. But talking about it and having some Sherpa, I'm calling Michelle a Sherpa. If you don't know what it is, just look it up. Having someone like her, a Sherpa, to guide you. I'm not saying Michelle is one all be all, that she knows everything, but she knows her own zone of genius by living her life. It's not one of those certifications that you get because you study well. It's one of those life journey that creates wisdom that can help you. And what I love is her heart to help, not because I want to be having this vanity measures. No one cares. It's her heart to help women. And I'm in this group. I don't want to be 50 soon, but I'm gonna. But it's okay. It's okay. I'm gonna look cute going 50, guys. I'm gonna just dance to the music. That's right. I'm gonna own it. I do have self-sabotage thoughts, so I'm gonna be having a blast on this conversation. Hello, everybody. How are you guys doing? I hope all is well. Happy Wednesday midweek. Yes, I had time to put my hair. I actually found it on my luggage. I'm like, oh my God, I brought one hair out of 20. This is great. So that's what I did. So, are you guys ready for Michelle? I hope you are, because I know she's ready for you.
Hello.
How are you,
Hi.
sister?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I said, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. Man, it's beautiful outside. The sun came out today. It's cool weather here in Dallas. And I mean, life is good. So,
Yeah, that's good. I definitely is my internet, not your from my house. I wanted to give you the space to really think about who is Michelle Ward. I know you've been at the Hounds also. I'm going to ask you a question about thinking back 20 years. Find within your timeline some of those significant changes in your life that got you here where you are today.
That's a great question. And I'm glad you asked it because I was
Yeah.
actually thinking about that and talking to my sister about it this morning. I think one of the major caveats or catalysts for my recognition of who I am apart from a daughter, a, a wife, a friend, you know, was becoming a mother. And of course, I identified with becoming a mother, but and that was kind of my identifier for a while. But taking care of these little things and these little precious people really changed my perspective on who I am, who I want to be, who I want to influence them to be. And at the time, I didn't realize, what I realize now about subconscious beliefs and self-sabotaging behaviors and the things that would shape their lives to become who they are now. But yeah, I would say that that was a big aha moment for me. And coming from a place where my mom and my dad were not, they did what they could, right? They did the best that they could do with what they knew. But I knew that I wasn't going to parent the same way that they did. And you don't know these things until you're there, right?
That's so true. No one gives us a playbook and to the T where we follow it. I mean, look at us. We have the Bible and the story. We still don't follow it to the T. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
we're just not made to follow to the T. But I am so blessed actually that Mike Asherbrenner introduced us and be in the same space to get to know amazing people. He knows exactly the people that I like. I love people who loves others and use their wisdom to help others, and that's why I call you a Sherpa.
Aw.
Um, yeah, I know. And you're like, what is that, CJ? Just go with it. Just go with it.
I know what that, yeah, I know what that is. And that's an honor to be called that. So thank you.
You're right. It's like a shaman, really, but it's more of a Sherpa that guides with wisdom. Because I followed you, I stalk what your conversation is like because I like consistency. Some people will show up so hype on other shows, and some people don't. It's a different story on the other shows. So I'm like, there's a disconnect. And for you, I've seen consistency, nothing but less than really amazing, truthful, authentic things about your life that you're willing to put out there. And you and I have conversations that sometimes it's really scary. No, not sometimes. Most of the time, it's really scary to talk about things that you feel, especially about your family, because it's not just the judgment that you get, but the shame. Right?
Hmm.
Like, why did you say that? Now everybody thinks that our families are wacko, right? Like, and so when we always fear about judgment and we hide our own truths, you're always going to live like that, where you feel like you're not being authentic because you can't say what you want to say. So I just want you to know that I'm so proud of you.
Thank
Now,
you.
what about your experiences that really push you to this limit where you're saying, you know what, I'm ready? What made you feel like you're ready?
Okay, that's another great question. So I've always been like an out of the box thinker. I've always been kind of like one of these people that, you say don't do this and I want to like do it anyway. I have a daughter like that too. It's like, don't touch this, it's hot. And then she'll touch it and be like, hot, kind of thing. Um, and so I was always that kind of person, but I wasn't allowed to be that person because it wasn't it wasn't being the rule follower that I was supposed to be. And so I ended up sticking myself in this box to fit into this box that other people wanted me to fit into. Well, I was super uncomfortable in that box, right? It was this facade I was living in, and I was not authentically me. And so I was trying to be who my husband wanted me to be, who the church wanted me to be, who my friends wanted me to be, who my family wanted me to be, who I thought I needed to be, how I needed to show up for my children based on what I had learned from my environment and from culture and all that. Well, at one point, it was in 2019, I finally recognized, oh my gosh, who am I? I was being a crazy person. Like I was getting upset about stupid things. I was assuming people were talking about me, and I was, projecting. And I mean, it was embarrassing. And so, and then I was like, why do people even like me? So I kind of went, that was a realization I had in 2019. And it was all linked to, I played on these tennis teams. And I don't know if anybody's ever played tennis for fun. Well, the fun turns into competition, and it turns less fun for some people. And I was one of those people because I never felt like I was good enough at or for anything. And so, but that culminated into a big event over, 2020 hit. And my daughter, who was a freshman in college, had to come home for 3 weeks, but what ended up being home until she went back in the fall. My other daughter was a senior in high school, and she missed out on all the senior activities because of COVID. I had another business that, it crushed under the weight of the pandemic. My dad, who I had not had a great relationship with because of me, not because of him. I was just angry and resentful towards him because of how I was raised. He was just very he was hurting, and took it out on me. He was dying of cancer, and so he passed away in September of 2020. My dad had always been a buffer for my mom, and my mom, her drinking problem became very obvious to me during that time. And at the same time, I've been struggling with drinking for 10 years. And then my husband decided he didn't want to be married anymore. Or he decided he wasn't happy and was wanting to talk about getting out of go towards a divorce. And I was shocked. And then one of my closest, dearest friends was going to had to go into the hospital for an eating disorder. And I'd always been her rock, and I couldn't do anything for her. And so this all happened in less than a year, but most of it happened within like a 2-month window. And I finally was like, I can't do this anymore, and that was my breaking point. And that's a lot. And so, but now looking back, I see all the things that were leading up to that breaking point, and I'm really grateful for it. A lot of people won't see it. They'll become the victim. They'll become they'll become the victim of their circumstances. But for whatever reason, I had enough presence of mind to know that I was the common denominator in all these things, and that I had to change me before my circumstances would change.
I love that. You had introspection. That's what it was. So, is speaking of tennis, over here is my tennis queen sister. I just had a conversation with her this morning. She was taking her kids and her husband to, school. And I call her kids my niece and nephew. And Elise, hello. Tita said you have to not obsess with penny pasta. Okay. She was having a conniption because one of her brothers ate the entire pasta that they had. So
Oh,
like
no.
for the morning before school, she was like not having it. And I can tell because she's also like neurodivergent like me. Like once we're hyper focused on something, we can't let it go. And
Mm-hmm.
I should have sang "Let It Go." Maybe she would have just sing with me. Like
Yeah.
it was 7:30 in the morning. I'm like, she's having a conniption because she was penny pasta. I'm like, don't you want like chocolate chip for breakfast or something? Why
Yeah.
penny pasta? But anyway, Elise, I hope you're having a good day at school today. But this sister right here is really good at tennis. So yeah, I think that sometimes when you do things, when we don't have a grateful heart and we actually are not looking of what are some of accountability is a big thing that we're lacking in this entire world right now is accountability. We need
Mm-hmm.
to be accountable for our own actions. It's easy to point out other people's flaws, but you got to look at what hand did you play in this situation, right? And
Right.
you were very introspective. So I'm so glad that you're like, okay, well, what can I do? Because obviously I can't do anything else for other people. I want to go to Elanvital. I hope I'm saying that right.
That's correct. Yes. Yes.
Or I want to know the roots of it and how you come up with that name. And then answer this question of what recurring patterns or habits in your life might be holding you back from achieving your goals, and why do you think they persist? And answer this more of like a general kind of thing, like pretend I'm your client and
Hmm.
I'm asking you this, like, how did you come up with what you're at and how would you deal with this?
Okay. So Elanvital, it was birthed out of the desire to replace the word I'm sorry, empower from my vocabulary, because empower, I feel like, is a word that has been so diluted, overused. This water empowers me, or whatever, or everything empowers you. And I was talking to a friend of mine, and she said something about being empowered. And I was like, I'm so sick of that word. Like, it doesn't have any meaning anymore. And she said, then come up with your own word. I said, okay, I will. So I did a search on, other words for empower, but they were all just like kind of boring words. And something else came up. This French philosopher, Henri Bergson, wrote a book called Creative Evolution in 1907. And he coined the phrase, or he coined the words Elan Vital. It was two different words, and it means vital force. And so I thought, wow, that is really cool, because that's really, and it's about this inner vital force that we all creatures, all cells have, and it creates who we are, right? Well, so think of a flower. Whenever it's seeded, it knows it's going to be a certain flower, or a tree, or what it knows it's going to be an apple tree, a lemon tree, or whatever. So we are created to be something, have a certain, that innate vital force inside of us. But because of culture, because of society, because of family, because of religion, because of government, the media, whatever, everything that we're exposed to really kind of suppresses that vital force. And so that's what and that comes from within, because all of our perceptions that we have of ourselves and how we perceive things that are happening around us form our beliefs about who we are and the world around us. So we quash our own vital force, that inner vital force, and there's nothing really outside of us that can reignite that. Only we can do that ourselves. So that's where that came from.
Wow. That is some research. I love that you created your own words. And you feel about the empowerment word. I feel the heart centered. Like, I'm so over heart centered. And
Mhm.
that's why I put my magazine as soul hearted. And they're like, what does that mean? It's because I feel like everyone has good intentions. And I mean everyone, okay? Even the ones that you don't like, people, I think
Yeah,
everyone has good intentions. The problem is that they're heart centered. They want to give back. But for me, some of those people who are wanting to give back, their passion is really not within their hearts. It's not, they're not aligned yet, right? I've seen people like that. So I switch it to soul-hearted individuals because I see people like you and I who's passionate about helping others because of our wisdom, because of our adversity, because of this, and we are able to, why not? And when you see people consistently showing up even when no one is listening, that soul, that passion that exudes within your body, you can just see the light, right? And so
that's
that's when I see, I'm like, I only want soul-hearted people. I don't mind heart-centered, but they're not aligned on some of them. And so that's why I like, soul-hearted. What are we celebrating? They couldn't hear me. Listen, it's not my house, it's my mom's house. The internet's wacko. Okay, I'm tearing off my phone right now, so that's why we have internet. So basically, we're celebrating that we are number one international best-selling authors. Woo woo! I don't have my roadcaster. I was like, I wish I had my road to scream for us. Oh my gosh, it's so amazing. Like, four of our anthologies, people, okay, four of anthologies this year literally hit number one international
amazing.
best-selling authors. And I was explaining to Michelle how we work it organically. We don't actually pay Amazon to market it for us. We literally hit, link to link to link to other people's for our groups, and we always love our group that doing that. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, Michelle and the rest of the crew for Against the Grain, and I do this for all anthologies. You guys can read your chapter, and for free I will put it out for Audible and everywhere else if you want to read your chapter, because some of our friends don't like to read, like Mike Asherburner. He wants to listen while he's doing laundry or going to his TP box. I don't know, but at least if you put it on Audible or Spotify, you can actually hear it. It goes to Apple, Deezer. I mean, you name it, like 25 major distribution channels. So you guys got 90 days from me. If you want to read it, send the MP3 to me, and I will put it out for everyone. So that is what we're celebrating. Isn't that cool? Back to Michelle. Now, in terms of your amazing, journey and where you're at right now, can you answer me, like, how do we take care of this if your client comes in and said, and you ask these questions, right? Now, reflecting on your own, like, habits and patterns, like, that's holding us back to achieve our goal, what are some of those things that you've seen?
Okay, so great example is I had a client who she's brilliant, like she's very well educated, and has all the degrees and is certified in this and certified in that. And how many of us do that? Like we feel like we need to get one more degree, one more certification to prove that we're worthy of whatever. And she would start businesses and she'd stop them, and or she would have some financial crisis within within her business and then stop it. And so after going through the process of, answering the questions and the questionnaire that I gave her, I can start to look for patterns, or maybe things that were said to her or things that were exhibited in her environment growing up that could have contributed to this. And this is why she had come to me. And so what I noticed is that even as a child, like a young child, she excelled at everything. She excelled in school. She excelled in sports and basketball and track and all these different things, and was always like the number one. And her mom continually told her, just and as moms do, without any kind of ill will, but she said, "Don't let your success go to your head." And so I said that, and I said, well, your mom had told you not to allow your success to go to your head. Do you think that that could be a link here? And she had never made that connection. After we made that connection, her business has skyrocketed. She's just doing amazing things because she recognized that it's not a bad thing to be successful. It's not a bad thing to make money doing what you love to do and helping others. And that it's not a humility issue. She didn't need to be humble about it. It was, she viewed success as a lack of humility. So that's one example. I have another client who does all the healthy things, eats well, exercises and all that, but can't seem to shake, she was at 205 whenever we first started working together. And this was about a year ago. She just couldn't seem to lose the weight and keep it off. She would do crash diets or cleanses and things like that, although she was still eating pretty well and not really, consuming bad things, and doing all the right things. Well, what that boiled down to was whenever she was younger, her mom had said to her on several different occasions, because she's probably 5'3". She said, "I just don't understand how you have such big legs for your little body," and would tell her that no one's going to be attracted to you because unless you lose weight. And so her mom also recommended that she get a breast reduction because her breasts were big and would make her look smaller. I mean, just, I don't know if it was well-meaning or what. Anyway, so whenever I helped her recognize the connection between what her mom thought of her and what she thought of herself, because we're very connected to our mothers. I mean, we came out of came out of the womb connected, spiritually, emotionally, physically, and mentally to them. Once she disconnected from that, and what her mom thought about what she looked like and how she should look, she lost 60 pounds without changing anything. And so that's one of the greatest success stories, because she realized that she's not her weight. She is a beautiful person, regardless of what she weighs and regardless of what her mom thought of her. She also had problem speaking her truth, or just actually saying what she wanted to say, because her dad used to tell her that she talked too much and you need to stop, you know, settle down, like, be quiet. And she can get excited, like, so she's learned now how to say what she wants to say without getting all, like, freaked out, and recognizing that her voice matters and that what she has to say is important. So it's been a great journey with her over the last year. So those are some small things you can think back, like, what was I what was the message that was always said, like, or communicated either verbally or non-verbally. For myself, like, I mean, I guess I used to hate, I didn't realize how it affected me, but I would make really dumb decisions. I mean, just, I don't know, I trying to step out of my box, and I would always end up getting in trouble or getting caught. And the, um, the overarching message to me was, how is it that you can be so pretty and make such dumb decisions? I'm like, those don't even connect. It's like,
I was
what does that
cringing
even?
over here, trying to be quiet on what you said, because people always say, "Oh my God, you can't be doing modeling or whatever because you're 5 feet tall."
Yeah,
So I did. I was doing that when I was a teenager. Oh, you can't do, like, Miss Asia, whatever, because you're tall. So I did. Like,
yeah,
oh, you can't have TV because you're Asian, you're Filipino, no one's gonna watch you. So I did. Like, all of these things that they want, it motivates me to actually do more. But I'm so done with doing that, because it's like, I've already owned my own thing. I think that culturally, okay, culturally, it's really hard. Like, when you're Asian, especially, okay, I can only speak for my Asian culture, is like, you cannot say what you want to say. You have to go around it
hmm,
to say that you're successful without saying that you're successful.
right,
Okay? Because then you're like, oh, you think you're all that. Like,
hmm,
And so the way I look at assertiveness that maintains humility is
hmm,
I acknowledge other people's perspective. So if they said, "Hey, I bought a house and da 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 da," I don't say, "Oh, I bought a house too." Let
right,
me celebrate that moment. Like, I used to think that to connect with others is to actually acknowledge what they're saying, but also, like, say what I also have. But to me, it comes out as competition, right?
exactly,
And so,
exactly,
but in my head, it wasn't competition, it was to relate. But the
hmm,
problem is, I've lived so many things in my life that I can have conversations on pretty much anything. Like, you want to talk about. Some people can only talk about one industry. I'm on all industries. I've done jobs in all industries. I've done, conversations in all industries, presented in all industries, research and do some stuff. So it's hard. So I try to, like, dial it down and said, okay, I'm going to be respectful in my communications. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be direct. But here's the thing, when you're direct, some people think that you have to be hurtful of people's emotions to be direct. You don't have to. It's a choice. It's a choice of words that you use. But I own my own strengths and I own my own limitations, because I'm confident in my abilities, because I've already done it. Right.
right,
But I think we need to focus on solutions, not dominance, approaching disagreements with goal of collaboration rather than, I'm gonna win that argument, Michelle, like, I'm the best, who cares? You know what I mean? If you can't
yeah,
give me a solution. And then practice empathy. Honestly, like, understand that kindness goes in many forms, but reinforces the assertiveness. Like, I think this is what you can do. And I think I've also seen when I give feedback as a statement rather than a question, I get some students get offended, like, oh my God, this sounds condescending, rather than seeing it in a different way, because again, we come from different cultures and environment, right?
Right.
So I think by having a question out of curiosity, like for example, instead of saying, oh gosh, CJ, you've gained a lot of weight. I mean, from the years I've known you, you're always been like 90 pounds. How the heck are you almost 120? Like, what made you fat? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm from a place who says that to me. Okay. So instead of saying, and I coached him and I'm like, okay, first of all, what constitute fat?
Right.
Because I know I got a fat ass. I don't know what to tell you with that. Like, it's just, it is what it is. Like,
I
I'm
own
not
it.
going to cut it out, you know? And here's the thing, I have mummy floaties. I can probably float if you throw me in the ocean right now, but I had two kids. Like, what do you want me to do with that? Right. And I said, I'm not for everybody, but I am for somebody.
Hmm.
Right. And here's
Yeah.
the thing, have you looked at yourself in the mirror? And then they looked at me like, and I'm like, okay, because we're talking about me, let me tell you about you. Are you ready? And they're like, no, don't tell me. I'm like, exactly. So what made you think that I was ready for your conversation to ask me to call me fat? Like, really?
Yeah.
And so they couldn't argue. I'm like, no, it's my turn to tell you. And she walked away. So I followed her and told her anyway.
Well, and so to that point, like one of the things I used to get offended by everything, like everything offended. And I wouldn't say anything, but I would silently maybe hold a grudge or just be like, well, she's a you know what, or he's a jerk or whatever. But one of the things I started doing to turn around what I thought about other people were what they were saying is to approach it from my standpoint. My mindset is that everybody's dealing with their own stuff, and it's not about me, whenever those things happen, and just to assume the best from everybody. Maybe that just didn't come out right, or maybe I took that the wrong way, or I'm not going to waste my time, energy mulling over or being worried about what I perceive other people think of me. And that's the thing that got me to the point, the whole tennis team thing, where I was like, I just imploded and burnt a lot of bridges just by being a complete jerk. And that was on me, not on them. And but that was the thing. I was like, okay, I got to stop thinking that other people are thinking a certain way or that they mean harm by doing these things, projecting. I was projecting. So,
Yeah, and we all do. I think we all do. I project sometimes too, and I have to. I project on my kids because I talk to them all the time because I have a 20-year-old and a 17-year-old going 40. Um,
mhm.
but when I said, okay, I need to be more like introspective. So I try to speak less when my brain is working because I'm trying to navigate how I'm going to say it where it comes out where it's supposed to be. Because how many times we have a conversation, we go into the conversation trying to apologize, and
Mhm.
then you don't remember what you're apologizing. So it comes out on like not authentic. And then the person that you're trying to apologize feels that. And then now you're on a second argument that you don't even remember what the first argument was all
Yeah,
about.
you're like, what? How did we get here?
I
Exactly.
know. And I'm like, I'm here to apologize. Why are we having another freaking fret? Like, okay, can we just stop for a moment, please? I'm sorry, whatever I said, because my ADHD just took, and you're like, excuses, excuses, CJ. I'm like, no, seriously. I don't remember the exact moment how we got here. Like, I apologize. But
Yeah.
here's another thing that I wanted to bring about you. Like, how do you actually handle if someone was like, hey, how do you fears or self sabotage influence the choices that we make? And how might these fears contribute to self sabotaging behaviors? Can you give me some type of advice on that?
Yeah. So let's take weight loss for an example, because this is kind of how I started down this path. As I started off as a nutrition and lifestyle coach, and my clients would have really great success for the 6 months they were working with me, and they would lose the weight and they would stay on the plan, and then a year later, they'd call me. They were like, "Oh, I've gained the weight back plus more. Can we start working together again?" And so, of course, I took it personally because I'm like, I must not have done a good job as a coach. This is early in my coaching career, and so we would start working together again. I would focus on let's talk about your why. Let's talk about your why, and the why a lot of times is like, well, I want to lose the weight because I'm going to Hawaii in a couple of weeks, or, in a couple of months. I'm like, well, that's kind of, short term thinking. Let's think long term. And but what it kind of boils down to, so but what I've learned through the self-sabotage and the subconscious and limiting beliefs, identifying those, is a lack of feeling worthy of losing the weight, uh, a fear of missing out, the FOMO, like, well, am I not going to be able to go and have, for me, Mexican food with my family and enjoy it? Am I just going to have to sit there and watch everybody eat the chips? Like, that's like my Achilles heel right there, some corn chips and salsa. And so there's that fear of missing out, and there's always an excuse as not to do something. Well, I'll wait until Monday. I'm going to enjoy the weekend. I'll wait until after New Year's, my New Year's resolution. That's really, that putting yourself off like that is actually putting yourself last. And that's another thing that keeps people from moving forward, is that they feel guilty or they feel like they're being selfish for self-care. Because, like, for women, for stay-at-home moms, I was a stay-at-home mom for 20 something years, until my last one went to college, and the other one comes back and all that. It felt not right at times to put myself first. But what I realized, and my daughter actually wrote me the sweetest note, it's hanging on my wall. She said, you putting yourself first has shown me self-care, and you've been such an inspiration to me through your journey. And she's young, she's going to be 24 next week, actually. And the fact that she sees that at 24 is like, I wish I would have seen that at 24. Right. So, so the fears and self-doubt that influence our decisions, a lot of times they're subconscious. We don't even realize that they're there. I mean, I might say, well, of course I'm worthy of blah, 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 but do I actually believe it? And so what you can start doing is questioning those crazy thoughts that come up in your mind. Like, what I'm saying? That if anybody spoke to you, like for me, I used to be super critical of everybody else, but really it was judgment of myself. I was being critical of myself because I expected everybody to be a certain way. I wrote about this in the book, in my chapter. If everybody would just change and do what I expect them to do, then the life would be perfect and I could be happy. And that was literally a thought that went through my mind. That's so
crazy.
it's embarrassing. I mean,
It's not embarrassing because no, because you're not alone. Like, sometimes I feel like, man, I wish I had a magic wand. It just makes people forget what they're saying, and fear and all of these things. Because for me, it's like fears and self-sabotage can influence my choice.
Mm-hmm.
It creates this mindset like of hesitation, and like you then avoid, because it's rooted, our fears are really rooted in the fear of failure, rejection, and
Mm-hmm.
inadequacy. Like, we don't feel enough, right? So
Right.
it leads to, like, now we're overthinking it, now we're procrastinating, now we're rejecting opportunities before even attempting them, right? So it's to
Yeah.
protect ourselves really from potential disappointment. So
And it's
fears,
so easy to talk yourself out of doing something because you come up with all the reasons of why it won't work, and why it didn't work. It didn't work last time. Why would it work now? And am I too old to change? I was talking to somebody the other day who's 75, and she's like, aren't I too old to change? I'm like, you're still breathing, you can, you can change. So,
it's hard to change when you're older. When they said you can't teach old dogs new tricks, right? That's what they always,
right.
the whole thing. But I think fears contribute to self-sabotaging behaviors by reinforcing our cycle of inaction or
Right.
suboptimal decisions that we do. So ultimately it prevents us from growth and achieving our goals. Now, as women, we say, oh, we're not perfect, we don't believe in perfection, but and then the other side of us, like, you can do it better. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You can totally do this better. I think for me, the key to breaking the cycle is making more empowered choices. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, making more empowered choices. But the thing is, a lot of times we think we're making empowered choices, but they're not really empowering for us. It might be what somebody else thinks is best for you. That's why I don't like that whole empower concept, because it's coming from outside of you, right? And it is. It's just, it comes from, it's a force from without instead of that force from within. And so if you can connect with that inner voice, that critical, that inner critic, which we've heard about, ad nauseum, but it is a real thing. What do you do wake up in the morning and you look in the mirror? What's the first thing you do? Like mine used to be like, God, my eyes are so puffy, or what, I must not have slept very well last night, or whatever. What are these wrinkles on my chest? I need to do something about that. Well, the first thing I was doing was criticizing myself in the morning. Before I get out of bed now, I'm grateful for the day. Even the other night, I could not get to sleep. I had a bunch of stuff on my mind, some things going on, and some extended family situations. I just couldn't settle my brain down. And so like 4 or 2 o'clock, I was like, okay, if I can just get 4.5 hours of sleep, I'll be golden. And I did. I got to sleep and I got 4.5 hours of sleep. Well, normally I would wake up and be like, ugh, I only got 4.5 hours of sleep. But I woke up and I was like, thank you, God, for the 4.5 hours of sleep that I did get last night. I pray that I can be productive today and have a great outlook. And actually that was yesterday morning. It was a great day, So whereas
I like
normally,
that.
yeah.
Grateful heart gets you everywhere. I know sometimes too in my situations, I'm like, oh, I have to do this, da 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 da. And then I look out outside my window, I'm like, oh, there's the Bay Area. It's so beautiful. I can hear the
Mhm.
kids. It's cool down. Like, I don't have great internet here, but man, I still have TV, roof over my head. It's a beautiful view. It's a $2 million view. Why not? Like I always look for that. And I love that you talk about that. Now, let's talk about your business, right? We talked
Mhm.
about the process of how people are thinking and what are some of the thoughts that we go through on a daily basis, literally, right? We're so overcritical about ourselves and everything else. Like I joke around and like, oh, I don't want to deal with you because I don't want to have wrinkles. I joke around about that, but honestly, I am very determined. Like I feel like when we get into the negative thoughts and we count our negative adversity that we go through every day, your entire being, your entire mood is so tense because you're always thinking about what you don't have rather
Mhm.
than what you have that's grateful for. I'm also grateful for what I don't have. I don't have cancer. You know what I mean? Like all
Yeah,
these,
that
I
is
don't
a
have that. Right?
yeah.
To be grateful for what you don't have and what you do have because sometimes we're so focused on wanting. And I think when you hit that level 5 of Maslow's hierarchy, which is self actualization,
Yeah.
that's when you're like, what is my personal growth? At the end of that life tunnel that you have, guys, with your journey, you're going to ask, what have I done for others? And if you can count what you have done for others in less than 10 fingers, you can do
Mhm.
more. I'm
Right.
just saying you can do more. And I want Michelle to tell us, what do you do for our community and how can we involve and collaborate with you? What are some of the things in your program that we can actually take advantage from?
Well, I do have a self-sabotage quiz on my website at elanvital-coaching.com. And that kind of will give you a baseline. It's a fun quiz. It's an easy quiz. It takes like 30 seconds to do. And it'll kind of tell you where you fall on the spectrum. And you can book a free consultation with me via my website. I've got some resources on my website as well. What you eat is super important. So I've got a blood sugar guide, how to balance your blood sugar. How you think is super important. So I've got a meditation book that I wrote. I actually did my my capstone project on meditation for my master's, um, and then I also have a 7-day journal that's in. I'm not great at journaling. I even write about this in that chapter. Is like I off and on. But if you can do it for 7 days, and these are not just the typical questions that normal, journal would ask, but they're really introspective questions, and just really think about those things. And just so those are on my website. But I'm very big on making sure other people feel loved on and feel appreciated. So I don't know. I will reach out to somebody that I haven't talked to in a while, or if somebody comes to your mind, there's a reason for that. So just do something with it. Call them, send them a
That's
text.
a problem because a lot of people are on my mind right now, Michelle. Man, I'm gonna be busy all morning.
Write it down. Yeah, no, just send a note. But it's the little things that you do daily, for your community, for the people that you are around. It's a smile. It's opening the door. Like, one of the things that I used to get so annoyed by is that people just like open the door and like, I'm like coming and they just let it. And I'm like, why am I annoyed by that? Like, why don't I just be the person that I want to see in the world? Isn't that like Buddha or somebody said that? um, and open the door for somebody. Well, when you do that, it actually has an effect on the collective consciousness. Just doing small, kind things for people, and thinking the best of others, regardless of what their views are, how they've spoken to you, what they look at, how they look at you, or whatever. Those are just small things that I try to do on a daily basis, and in my community, in my life, and all that.
I love that. I do like little small things. I wanting to my goal now in next year really is to help more impact and legacy through writing. um because I believe that some of them, not all, I don't think I've seen all, but some of our co-authors have gone through, writing other people's anthologies and things like that, but also really had growth, like exponentially. They grow, that growth mindset of, I can do this. There is community that appreciates me. I can do this. And sometimes, guys, if you feel all alone, like you're on your own journey and you're like, man, this is going to be hard, reach out to somebody. Reach out to Michelle,
Yeah,
right? Reach
do.
out to me. Reach out to just like anything. Because here's the thing, it's not, I really believe in collaboration over competition. Because even if we're doing the same thing, which we are, helping our community, we're doing it differently. And even if you don't agree with some of the things that might come out of our mouths or what we say, it's not that one thing that you don't like that is beneficial to you. It's the whole package, right?
Right.
And so I love that you have the whole package. You're so like kind, you're so giving, and at the same time, you're so open to, hey, this is what I had issues. And I was in the back of my head, I'm so bad, Michelle. I was really thinking when you said, oh, I had a drinking problem. I'm like, oh, Michelle, I wanted to go to your house. Let's get some Dom Perignon or Crystal right now with lavender in there. And I'm like, CJ, don't say it. Don't say it, because she's
Well, I
trying
will
to.
say, I will say that I quit drinking for a long period of time, because I had to figure out why I was drinking so much and why it was such a crutch, and why, and I knew I was using it as a coping mechanism. But I will have a glass of wine once every 6 weeks, kind of thing. Like, my husband and I went out to dinner on Saturday night. I said, I'm actually going to have a cocktail with you tonight. And he said, what? And he was like, okay. Like, he was like blown away. And that's not a regular occurrence. It was a special occurrence, but I didn't feel like I needed to keep on drinking to get that high, like I had before. So I will have some Dom Perignon with you.
Yes, Dom or Crystal. I have a 2014 in my house. I haven't opened because that's my husband and I's celebration drink always when we celebrate something, right? But right now, Michelle, I'm giving you permission with your husband, like number one international best-selling author.
Yeah.
Hello, like why not?
Yes.
Maybe just a sip or two. Now, can you repeat exactly where your website can be found, please?
Yes. So it's Elanvital, one word, dash coaching dash, .com. Elanvital
Dashcoaching.com.
dash
Okay.
coaching.com.
All right. And I have what do you call this? I have a blood sugar issue as well. So I'm gonna check out that quiz because I want to see. So I always carry on my purse candy or orange juice is actually the best, but like candy because I used to faint a lot because I didn't know that I had low blood sugar. Like I get hypoglycemic and I don't have diabetes, but I don't really like sugar anyway. Like I'm not a cake person. Um but I love like sugary things sometimes, especially in
Mm-hmm.
my coffee. And so this will give me kind of an idea about, sugar. And I think sugar is bad for you, period. It makes you gain weight. It makes gives you so much issue, but it's so good and addicting. I'm like, oh, it's killing me.
Oh
My
yeah.
doctor told me you can't have sugar and you can't have chocolate. I'm like, you're fired. I'm not having this
Yeah.
conversation with you. But
Yeah.
thank you so much for today. I
You're
really appreciate.
welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you for
And
having me.
of course. And also, we're going to see you in our podcast on Friday. So
Yes.
watch out for that, guys. This conversation will be on Spotify. And also, Michelle will be providing you with a free consultation. So just come try, talk to her, and see what we can come up with. And if you need anything else, let me know. And if you can't find Michelle, she's also on LinkedIn. If you can't find her, please go ahead and find me. But Elanvital coaching.com just came up for me. And Elanvital spells Elanvital. It just comes up for me right away. So I love that. And then I also love the part where you have kind words in there
Hmm.
for your testimonials. I love those. Thank you so much for sharing those.
It's a, it's so like for me, helping somebody to, you know, um, jump a hurdle or to have that realization like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And then make these significant changes. And sometimes they're just really small changes. Like I told you that my client that lost 60 pounds, she didn't, it was a mindset of hers. It was a feeling of being unworthy and that I'm always going to be overweight and people, I'm never going to get married because no one likes somebody overweight. Whenever she started loving herself in a different way and seeing herself as worthy, the weight just fell off. And it's just been a fun, you know, it's been a fun process to watch. So,
I know. When I grow up, I want to be Michelle Ward.
oh,
I want to be Michelle Ward when I grow up. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Hans, of business community, and my sisters out there for coming in. We appreciate you. We love you, and have a beautiful day. Bye,
thank you.
everybody. Thank